Let's bring in psychotherapist and author of Your Best Age Is Now, Robi Ludwig. Nice to see you, darling. Taryn Southern joins me as well, an early YouTube star and digital media producer and strategist. Taryn, thank you so much. And Taryn, let me start with you, actually, because I think there's something to be learned from your experience. You gained fame early on YouTube. Actually, let's go to Taryn, other person. There we go. We'll get to you in a moment, Robi. Taryn, this fame that you achieved early on YouTube, one of the early stars there, describe what that felt like. Is it intoxicating?
I wouldn't even call it fame. I achieved a large number of views early on a handful of videos, starting back in 2007. And the platform has changed so much since then. We've created an entire culture now where people can become social media celebrities. And so at that time, it was just an opportunity to do something creative and be seen. And now I think it's become a whole...
Did you anticipate it would get to this point where people are literally, in this case, losing their lives to get more views?
It's insanity. I think when I look back on how people worked on the platform 7, 8, 9 years ago, there was a hesitancy about sharing your life and being so open on social media. In fact, I feel that that was almost looked down upon, and now it's almost as though narcissism has reached an all-time high, and people are eager to share anything and everything at any cost.
I worry that we're not at our highest point. Did you at that time feel pressure to get more eyeballs to your content? Did you find yourself sort of pushing the envelope, or wasn't it that kind of atmosphere in those early days?
Not at all. I feel in the early days, it was a bunch of creators making stuff that they felt excited or enthusiastic about. And I've seen it just transform into this completely different thing. And I talk about this a lot. Algorithms are what is running the platform and what is seen. And when that happens, you have a lot of unintended consequences. And so it's not surprising to me that something like this would happen and that we're currently in this phase. I mean, there was a study that just came out maybe 3-4 weeks ago that YouTube star is now the most desired career among young people ages 8 to 15. And number 2 is vlogger/blogger, which is pretty much the same thing. So we're seeing this massive shift in people desiring fame, desiring that the dopamine hits of audience interaction. And I agree with you. I think it could get worse before it gets better.
Let's bring in Robi Ludwig, because I want to talk about what, Taryn, you just mentioned there. You talked about the dopamine hit. I mean, is that what might be moving people to push these boundaries unreasonably? Look, I did some dumb things in my younger years, for sure.
Right.
But there's doing silly things and doing something that literally costs somebody their lives. Is it about that instant gratification? What is it?
Well, yes, and I think when you look at these particular fame seekers, they were in their teens. And so teenagers really have a magical way of looking at life. It's called magical thinking, where they really don't think the worst case scenario will happen. So there's a lot of denial, and we all do things because it feels good, right? And when we're pursuing our passion career-wise, it feels good. Having said that, I think what we're seeing here is that millennials grew up on reality TV. And with an entrepreneurial type of mindset in terms of work. So here you have a combination of perhaps achieving fame, your own business, and then their judgment is not great. And they're in denial about the true dangers that can happen as a result of engaging in some of these risky behaviors that, yes, might bring extra viewers, which to them feels like they're being loved and they're popular. So they're seeking their validation in the wrong place, and they're seeking a sense of community in the wrong place.
Can I also ask you about this interesting dynamic we saw, because this is a couple, and clearly this young woman showed some hesitation to do this stunt, yet in the end she did it and he died, and now she faces potential, prison time.
This is just so sad and tragic to me, but it's almost like they had a family business, but they didn't have the wherewithal to have good judgment when thinking things through. Listen, couples push each other to do extreme things, and sometimes it works out and sometimes not. But it sounds like you had two people who had big dreams. They didn't have a good sense of reality and what could put them in harm's way. And unfortunately for them, the worst case scenario did happen. But I do think that this is a wake-up call for people out there, and perhaps they should be used as an example of bad things can happen.
Yeah, and maybe that's a discussion we can have another time, is how to maybe talk to someone who has allowed this sort of quest for fame to take over their rational thinking. Robi Ludwig, Taryn Southern, a joy to speak with both of you. I'm so sorry it was about something so grim and so, I mean, so preventable. That's the other thing. Thanks so much for your time.